Imagine stepping into that electrifying atmosphere of a massive live event. A concert pulsing with bass, a stadium roaring during a championship match, or maybe a sprawling festival stretching as far as the eye can see. That incredible buzz, the shared excitement, the collective energy of thousands moving as one. It's a truly unforgettable experience, isn't it? But beneath that, that exhilarating surface, behind all the dazzling lights and the booming sound, lies a profound, often invisible challenge, ensuring the safety of every single person in that surging, dynamic crowd. We've all heard the tragic stories, the headlines that haunt us, events that spiral from celebration into disaster in, well, moments. But what truly separates a meticulously planned, successful gathering from one that makes news for all the wrong reasons? It's not simply luck, it's a deep, almost scientific understanding of how crowds behave, combined with incredibly meticulous planning and a constant, proactive vigilance. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of your sources' articles, research our own notes, and extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight. Think of this as your shortcut to being truly well-informed, with surprising facts and just enough humor to keep you hooked.
And today, we're embarking on a crucial deep dive into the foundational principles of effective crowd management. We'll explore the often invisible forces that shape collective human behavior and the proactive strategies event organizers employ to keep everyone safe, quite literally, from the ground up. It's a fascinating blend of psychology, architectural design, and meticulous logistics. You might be genuinely surprised at the level of detail involved in what, from an attendee's perspective, appears to be a seamless and effortless experience.
Okay, let's really unpack this then. When we talk about a crowd, what are we actually defining? It's clearly more than just, a large group of people standing together, isn't it? Because a few dozen friends waiting for a coffee isn't typically what comes to mind when we talk about crowd control or management.
That's a critical distinction to make, yeah. A crowd isn't just an aggregate of individuals. It's a living, dynamic entity with its own emergent properties. The academic literature on this topic really highlights two distinct yet equally important historical perspectives that continue to inform modern crowd management techniques. There's the classical view, which often perceived crowds in a somewhat negative light as inherently irrational, prone to mindless collective acts, easily swayed by psychological factors like mob mentality. This perspective tended to see crowds as volatile and needing strict control. Then we have a more contemporary perspective, which acknowledges a greater acceptance of physical proximity, especially in densely crowded scenarios. This view emphasizes the significant influence of specific social identities. So it's not just a mass of anonymous people, it's often a group with a shared purpose, a collective identity that can significantly influence behavior. Both of these perspectives, the classical and the contemporary, are essential because they offer different lenses through which to predict and, manage crowd dynamics.
Interesting. So old school versus new school almost, but both still relevant.
Kind of, yeah. And what's truly fascinating here, and really a cornerstone of understanding crowd safety, is the distinction between crowding and density. Density is the purely physical actuality. It's the measurable quantitative metric of people per square meter. Like 2 people per square meter in a comfortable open space.
Just the numbers.
Exactly, just the numbers. Crowding, however, is entirely perception-based. It's about how individuals feel within that physical density. Someone at a music festival might perceive intense density as positive, enhancing the atmosphere and a shared connection with like-minded fans thinking, this is awesome, everyone's feeling the same vibe.
Right, the energy of the crowd.
Precisely. But conversely, trying to navigate that same density to reach the restrooms or exit can quickly become negative if it interferes with personal goals or simply feels uncomfortable. What's also observed, and this is quite interesting, is that adaptation to spatial crowding can occur where individuals, due to extended exposure, gradually no longer negatively pay attention to the surrounding crowd.
They just get used to it.
They essentially habituate to it, yeah. But, and this is key, this doesn't necessarily mean the physical danger has diminished. The risk might still be very high.
Wow. Okay, that immediately highlights the complexity because you're dealing with both hard numbers and subjective human experience. So with these definitions and nuances in mind, what are the broad factors that influence how a crowd actually moves, feels, and acts? What are the layers of influence event planners need to consider?
It's a broad and intricate range of factors, truly a multi-dimensional puzzle. Firstly, density, as we just touched on, is absolutely crucial. Physical density doesn't just intensify pleasure or dissatisfaction. It fundamentally alters movement and safety. Critically, spatial density particularly at peak arrival or departure times, is the major contributing factor in tragic incidents like crushes and trampling.
That makes sense. Too many people, too little space.
Exactly. To put it into perspective, once you exceed roughly 3 to 4 people per square meter, the ability to move freely becomes severely limited. Above 5 or 6 people per square meter, it can become incredibly dangerous, leading to what experts tragically call compressive asphyxia, a silent, insidious killer where pressure on the chest makes breathing impossible even while standing upright.
Oh, wow. That's terrifying. Just the pressure itself.
It is. This is why managing those numbers, that density, is so utterly vital. Secondly, environment and site design play an enormous, often underappreciated role. The physical layout of a venue significantly impacts crowd movement, behavior, and safety. Think about confusing layouts where people can't easily find what they're looking for, or obscured sight lines where they can't clearly see the stage, exits, or even security personnel.
Yeah, getting lost or frustrated.
Right. These seemingly minor design flaws can rapidly create frustration and threaten safety. Even temporary structures, like stages or barriers, if not properly designed, installed, and placed, can become severe hazards. Proper design isn't just about aesthetics. It profoundly affects cognitive and emotional responses, influencing whether people feel comfortable enough to linger and enjoy themselves, or if they're prompted to speed through areas, potentially causing bottlenecks.
So good design subtly guides people.
A well-designed site guides behavior almost intuitively, yes. Then we delve deeply into psychology and social identity. This raises an important question. How does the human element, the internal state of individuals and groups, play into this, sometimes in surprising ways? Social identity theory, or SIT, is incredibly relevant here. People in a crowd often coalesce around a social identity, common goals, a unity of purpose, like supporting the same team or loving the same band.
A sense of us.
Exactly, a sense of us. This shared identity can be incredibly powerful. It can foster tremendous compliance with rules and positive behaviors, such as cheering in unison or exhibiting profound camaraderie. However, what's truly counterintuitive is that the very same psychological bond can, under specific stressors like perceived rivalry, a breakdown of trust, or a sense of injustice, rapidly flip into destructive group herd behavior.
So it can cut other ways.
Precisely. It's not just that individuals act differently. The group's collective identity can amplify either the best or worst human tendencies, creating a volatile, unpredictable entity that event planners must constantly read and react to.
So it's not just about what an individual might do, but how that shared identity can essentially create a new mind for the crowd, almost a collective personality that can shift.
That's a great way to put it. And that ties into conformity. The classic Ash experiment, which many are familiar with, highlights how individuals may yield to a majority view, even if it contradicts their own senses. This can happen for two main reasons. Either they want to fit in with the group, a normative influence driven by social acceptance.
Peer pressure, basically.
Potentially, yes. Or they genuinely believe the group is better informed than they are, an informational influence where they doubt their own judgment. In a high-stakes crowd situation, both can be profoundly problematic if the group is heading in a dangerous direction, say, towards an already blocked exit.
Okay, I can see how that could go wrong fast.
Very fast. Another powerful psychological factor is emotional arousal. Events are inherently designed to be highly emotional experiences. The thrill of a last-minute goal, the sheer joy of a favorite song performed live. This emotional high can be overwhelmingly positive. But aroused emotions in groups, especially when coupled with a strong social identity, can be dangerous. If rivalries emerge between fan groups, or if there's widespread dissatisfaction, these heightened emotions can rapidly trigger aggressive or hostile patterns.
Right, emotions running high.
Exactly. Fear, panic, or fleeing crowd types, where people are trying to escape perceived danger, present extremely high risks because rational thought can diminish, leading to uncoordinated, self-preservation-driven movements that worsen the situation. We also analyze fan typologies. Audiences aren't monolithic. You simply can't treat all attendees the same. From dabblers who are casually interested to fanatics who are deeply committed, their level of commitment and their specific subculture, be it rock, hip-hop, electronic dance music, or football fans, significantly influences their likely behavior.
So knowing your audience is key.
Absolutely fundamental. For instance, certain hip-hop subgroups, due to their association with specific cultural narratives, are sometimes, perhaps unfairly, perceived to carry a higher risk of localized aggression, while rock and heavy metal concerts might commonly see behaviors like moshing or crowd surfing. These aren't necessarily negative if managed correctly, but they require very specific, tailored management strategies, from designated areas to trained security to ensure safety. Understanding these typologies is key to profiling the audience correctly and anticipating their needs and potential behaviors.
Gotcha. And then there's the obvious one.
Right. Finally, substance influence is a commonly cited catalyst for negative crowd behavior and is a major concern for event planners. The presence of alcohol and illicit drugs can significantly lower inhibitions, impair judgment, and increase vulnerability to opportunistic crimes. This isn't just about aggression. It can lead to increased instances of sexual harassment, assault, and theft.
Yeah, that's a huge factor.
It really is. The youth market in particular is often linked to excessive drinking and a higher risk of substance use, making events catering to this demographic particularly sensitive to these risks and requiring enhanced vigilance and harm reduction strategies.
That's an incredible amount of overlapping factors to consider, truly painting a picture of complexity. So with all these dynamic elements at play, what are the specific critical points event planners are constantly looking out for when they're designing and managing an event? What are the technical terms for those inherent danger zones?
Well, when it comes to the physical manifestation of these risks, two critical concepts event planners are always looking out for are crush points and choke points. These are essentially areas where crowd density can become dangerously high due to bottlenecks, narrow passages, or converging flows of people.
Like doorways or narrow corridors?
Exactly. Imagine a single narrow doorway trying to empty a large hall of thousands. That's a choke point that can rapidly become a crush point. These specific locations are meticulously identified during the planning phase through simulations and spatial analysis. Another crucial concept, often counterintuitive to our natural instincts, is the faster is slower, FIS effect.
Faster is slower. How does that work?
It sounds odd, right? But it describes how, in extremely dense crowds, desperate attempts to move faster, particularly through an exit during an emergency, can actually lead to a significantly slower overall flow rate. People essentially impede each other, causing a dangerous pileup. It's like trying to force too much sand through an hourglass at once. It just clogs.
Ah, okay. So pushing actually makes it worse.
Precisely. This phenomenon is also referred to as the trickle and dump effect, particularly at ingress and egress points, where a sudden surge is followed by a complete stoppage. To avoid this, exits must be meticulously designed to be wide enough to allow at least two people to pass simultaneously, ideally more, ensuring a steady, safe flow rather than a chaotic, dangerous surge.
Seems simple, but clearly vital.
It's a fundamental principle derived from analyzing countless real-world incidents, yes.
It sounds like preventing incidents truly starts long before anyone even steps foot in the venue. It's not just about what happens during the event itself, but the meticulous groundwork laid months or even years earlier. What's involved in that initial foundational planning phase?
Precisely. It all begins with a comprehensive risk assessment. This isn't a mere tick box exercise. It's a deeply analytical, multidisciplinary process.
Yeah.
It involves predicting how different attendee groups will interact with the physical space and the event's programming. It's about understanding the entire landscape of potential hazards.
So anticipating problems before they happen.
Yes, exactly. This includes evaluating several key elements in granular detail. First, crowd size and type. You need to determine not just the maximum expected attendance, but critically, the specific audience demographics. This involves assessing age ranges, potential mobility limitations, and even cultural behavioral norms. Event organizers must profile audience types meticulously because, as we said, a rock concert crowd behaves fundamentally differently from a family festival crowd.
Right, tailored approaches.
Absolutely. Second, we analyze venue characteristics and event type. This involves a thorough analysis of the physical venue itself, its fixed structures, its open spaces, its historical performance, combined with the specific nature of the event. A multi-stage music festival over several days has fundamentally different crowd management requirements than a single-day sporting event or an indoor convention. Each has unique conditions, ingress-egress patterns, expected dwell times, all that.
Makes sense. Different event, different flow.
Third, historical incident analysis and flow models. Learning from past events, even seemingly unrelated ones, is absolutely crucial. This involves reviewing incident reports from other venues or similar event types to understand common pitfalls and lessons learned. Beyond historical data, organizers create detailed flow models, often using advanced software for computer-aided design or CAD mapping, which allows them to simulate and visualize crowd movements in intricate detail.
Like a virtual walkthrough for crowds.
Kind of, yeah. These models incorporate human factors, allowing planners to predict movement patterns, identify potential bottlenecks, and test evacuation scenarios before the event even begins. It's like a virtual dress rehearsal for crowd flow. And fourth, contingency planning is paramount. This means preparing for external forces beyond immediate human control, such as extreme weather events.
Like high winds or sudden downpours.
Exactly. High winds, torrential rain, intense heat waves, all of which can drastically alter crowd behavior and safety risks. It also includes having robust, predefined plans in place for specific needs, such as secure VIP movement protocols and specialized accommodations for attendees with disabilities, which are critical but sometimes overlooked. For instance, deploying specialized teams and advanced training for fire watch guards, particularly in indoor or enclosed temporary structures, is integral.
So planning for almost anything.
Trying to, yes. That's the goal.
So once they've meticulously profiled their audience and thoroughly assessed all these potential risks, how do they translate that deep understanding into designing the actual physical space to manage crowds safely? What are the blueprints for safety that guide behavior before people even arrive?
Well, site design is absolutely paramount. It's truly about blueprinting safety into the very fabric of the event from the ground up. One of the primary principles is creating clear pathways and zones. Dividing large, expansive spaces into manageable sections prevents dangerous density buildup by distributing attendees more evenly. This compartmentalization is key.
Breaking it down.
Exactly. Each zone should ideally have independent entry and exit roads, as well as its own dedicated support services like first aid stations, restrooms, and food vendors. This strategic zoning allows for problems in one area to remain isolated, preventing a localized issue from cascading.
Smart. Containing potential issues.
Regarding physical dimensions, general industry best practices dictate that main thoroughfares within the event site should maintain a minimum width of 10 feet, approximately 3 meters, with secondary routes at least 5 feet, about 1.5 meters wide. Crucially, significantly wider spans are needed at junction points where multiple paths converge or where major attractions are located to accommodate peak flow.
Avoiding those pinch points.
Yes. And professional crowd management services often recommend designing pathways with slight curves rather than long, straight sections.
Ooh.
Why curves?
It naturally moderates walking speed and subtly discourages people from running. Straight paths can sometimes encourage rushing. Furthermore, implementing one-way flow systems in high traffic periods, where feasible, can significantly reduce collision risks and confusion.
Little design tricks with big impacts.
They can be, yes. Another absolutely key principle is legibility in signage. The site must be legible, meaning intuitively clear in its organization and meaning. It should be effortless for attendees to understand where they are and where they need to go. A great historical illustration is the rebranding of the London Underground in the 1930s. It simplified navigation and drastically improved pedestrian flow simply by making the system easier to read.
Making it easy to understand where you are. Exactly. Signage itself is imperative, and it comes in multiple forms: external and internal directional signs like parking info or "you were here" boards, often with maps. It also encompasses statutory and safety signs, clearly marked fire exits, hazard warnings, emergency assembly points, plus clear room identification for bars, toilets, etc. The clarity of signage is paramount. Considerations include the type of information, the appropriate size and material for visibility, precise wording, language options for diverse audiences, and strategic placement. Unambiguous, readily recognizable signs are vital.
Can't underestimate good signage.
Never. Then there's queuing and capacity management, which is far more complex than simply lining people up. Queue management is critical not only for preventing dangerous overcrowding at entry points, but also for allowing necessary security checks to take place efficiently. Strategies like batch processing.
Holding and releasing groups.
Yes. Holding groups in designated safe queuing areas and then releasing them into the venue in controlled numbers. And staggered ingress times for attendees. Both help manage peak arrival flow, preventing that sudden dump of people. The overarching goal here is to precisely manage the flow and total number of visitors to avoid overoccupation of any single space at any given time.
Keeping the density manageable everywhere.
That's the aim. We also rigorously consider traffic and flow beyond just pedestrian movement. This involves meticulous planning for how visitors arrive, shuttle buses, designated parking areas with clear routes, public transport integration, and how they will move around once they are on site. It includes the strategic scheduling and task sequencing of all event activities, both behind-the-scenes logistics and audience-related programming, to avoid simultaneous overoccupation. Identifying clear, unobstructed routes for emergency and service vehicles is also absolutely crucial for rapid response.
Thinking about vehicles too, not just people.
Everything that moves, basically. Perhaps the most critical consideration of site design, though, is meeting stringent emergency exit standards. Industry standards often require venues to have sufficient exit capacity to evacuate the entire space within a very short time frame, frequently cited as 8 minutes under emergency conditions.
8 minutes. That sounds incredibly fast for a huge venue.
It is. And it's not an arbitrary number. It's based on extensive research into human panic behavior and the time it takes for hazards like smoke to become life-threatening. Calculations for this account for the total width, number, and distribution of exits relative to the expected attendance and internal layout. Professional assessments frequently include timed evacuation simulations, sometimes using virtual reality or advanced modeling, to identify potential bottlenecks that might not be obvious during normal operations.
Testing it beforehand.
Essential. Finally, temporary structures, TDS, require extremely careful health and safety planning. Structures like stages, audience barriers, scaffolding, marquees.
Things that aren't permanent fixtures.
Exactly. They can be surprisingly vulnerable to collapse due to adverse weather, unexpected crowd forces, or improper installation. The tragic Indiana State Fair incident in 2011, where a stage collapsed due to high winds, highlighted critical failures not only in design and construction but also in inspection processes, a lack of organizer knowledge, and inadequate weather monitoring.
So temporary doesn't mean less scrutiny.
If anything, it means more scrutiny is needed. All these elements must be thoroughly vetted, inspected, and constantly monitored.
So it's a sophisticated interplay between the physical space and the human behavior within it. Beyond the blueprints and the barriers, what about the human element, the people managing the crowd on the ground and the information they share? How do they bring all this meticulous planning to life in real time?
This is where the human element and communication systems truly shine, forming the vital operational layer. Firstly, skilled staffing is non-negotiable. Event staff, security personnel, and law enforcement need not just basic training, but advanced, specialized certifications. For instance, specific firewatch guard training for enclosed spaces, or de-escalation techniques.
Not just standing around.
Definitely not. Their presence should not only be authoritative, but also consistently welcoming and friendly. This seemingly small detail actually enhances the crowd's experience, fosters trust, and increases willingness to comply with instructions. They must be rigorously trained to proactively spot early signs of intoxication, agitation, or potential problems, allowing for timely, discreet intervention before a situation escalates. Their primary role is often information and guidance.
Being helpful, not just guards.
That's the ideal, yes. Secondly, effective communication is truly twofold, operating both externally and internally. There's the staff-to-crowd communication, which encompasses both visual and oral methods. This includes staff exhibiting welcoming body language, providing clear verbal instructions over PA systems, and even using nonverbal cues in very dense or loud environments.
Hand signals and things like that.
Sometimes, yes. Though it's important to note that relying solely on nonverbal cues can sometimes revert to a more traditional and potentially problematic view of controlling rather than reasoning with a crowd. The goal is always clear information and guidance. The other, equally crucial aspect is internal and pre-event communication. This means establishing crystal clear lines of contact within the entire event team, from management to ushers to first aid and with all external emergency services.
Everyone talking to each other?
Instantly, ideally. This integrated communication chain allows for rapid information sharing and coordinated response. For audiences, this translates to proactive pre-event communication via websites, social media, ticketing platforms, advising of changes, or safety instructions. History has tragically shown us that a lack of efficient, agile communication has been directly attributed to numerous crowd disasters, so processes must remain flexible and adaptable.
Constant, clear communication. Got it. We've discussed the complex interplay of human factors and strategic design. But in an increasingly connected world, how is technology now stepping in to give event planners an unprecedented real-time advantage in managing these dynamic crowds? What are the technological breakthroughs transforming crowd safety?
Technology. It truly provides powerful tools for real-time monitoring, predictive analysis, and rapid response, allowing for a far more proactive, data-driven, and efficient approach than ever before. It's fundamentally transforming the landscape, moving from reactive control to predictive management.
So less reacting, more anticipating.
That's the goal. Let's look at some specifics. First, CCTV and security cameras are no longer just passive surveillance tools. They are fundamental to continuous intelligent monitoring. A fantastic example is the Qatar World Cup 2022, which deployed an astonishing 200,000 integrated units from 22,000 high-definition security cameras across its 8 stadiums.
Wow, 22,000 cameras.
Incredible numbers, and these were monitored by over 100 technicians around the clock from a central command center. Modern CCTV systems incorporate advanced analytics like heat mapping and pedestrian flow analysis, allowing operators to identify emerging density issues long before they become critical. Building on that, facial recognition technology while raising privacy considerations that need careful handling.
Yeah, that's always a concern.
It is, absolutely. But it significantly enhances monitoring capability in controlled environments. At Lusail Stadium, this tech enabled operators to zoom in on specific areas, down to individual seats among 80,000, allowing for incredibly detailed crowd assessment. This granularity can help identify known individuals or spot issues. Predictive analytics and flow models are another cutting-edge application, moving beyond observation to foresight. Technology aids in creating sophisticated, physics-based flow models that simulate crowd behavior.
So the CAD modeling we talked about earlier, but supercharged.
Essentially, yes, and fed by real-time data. These models help identify potential bottlenecks and predict movement patterns to prevent density issues before they occur. Decision support matrices, powered by these analytics, help identify flow capacity in hotspots, allowing organizers to make data-driven decisions on the fly, like opening new entrances or redirecting foot traffic, dynamic adjustments.
Adapting in real time based on data.
Exactly. Advanced communication systems are also critical. Centralized digital platforms integrate data streams from facility management, security, health and safety, ICT operations, everything. This allows for seamless, instantaneous communication. A security team can, with just one click, shift between monitoring different areas, instantly sharing critical info with medical teams, police, ground staff. Everyone's on the same page.
Breaking down those communication silos.
Crucial in high-pressure situations, even seemingly simple things like sensors play a vital data-gathering role. Environmental sensors, for instance, can detect temperature variance, humidity, air quality inside venues. This real-time data can prompt immediate adjustments to HVAC systems, enhancing comfort and directly contributing to safety.
Preventing heat issues, things like that.
Yes, or ensuring air quality in packed spaces. Beyond environmental, force plate sensors can even measure crowd pressure on barriers, giving early warnings. All these technologies converge in highly sophisticated, integrated command and control centers. Facilities like Qatar's Aspire Command and Control Center act as central hubs for real-time data from all these systems.
The nerve center.
Precisely. It allows holistic oversight and coordinated action. Finally, with so much integration, cybersecurity is absolutely paramount. Foolproof cybersecurity is essential to protect these complex systems from external threats like hacking or internal vulnerabilities. Any compromise could severely undermine safety operations.
Protecting the tech that protects the people.
You got it.
That's a truly illuminating look at the intricate planning and technological prowess involved. But for all the theory and the tech, the real test comes in live, unpredictable scenarios. So what does this all mean when we look at real-world events? How do these principles, or tragically the lack thereof, play out when the stakes are highest?
Well, understanding fundamental principles is one thing, but actual incidents provide stark and often tragic lessons. They frequently highlight not single causes, but complex cascades of both management and planning failures, where multiple smaller issues combine catastrophically.
It's rarely just one thing.
Rarely ever. Learning from these is how the industry evolves. Let's start with the Astroworld Festival incident in 2021, a profoundly tragic event that underscored serious issues with site layout, barrier design, and critical failures in information flow. Crowd safety experts later noted the specific space didn't seem inherently suitable for a high-energy performer like Travis Scott, whose shows are known for dynamic crowd movement. Critically, crowd numbers in constricted areas should have been strictly monitored and controlled in real time.
The space wasn't right for the act.
Potentially not, or at least not without much stricter controls. A significant finding was the potential failures in information flow from security on the ground to the artist and his team, making it incredibly difficult for performers to know when to stop a show. It also raised profound questions about whether licensing bodies had the necessary specific knowledge to adequately assess the risks of the proposed plans for such a dynamic event.
So communication breakdown and maybe planning oversight.
Key themes, yes. The Hillsborough disaster in 1989 in the UK is another catastrophic example, demonstrating a profound bottleneck effect combined with systemic failures. The Leppings Lane access point was the sole entry for thousands of Liverpool fans, forcing a massive, uncontrolled convergence. Authorities, tragically, viewed their roles primarily through a lens of hooliganism rather than prioritizing crowd safety.
Focusing on control, not safety.
That mindset directly contributed to the dangerously overcapacity pens where the crush occurred. Post-incident investigations revealed serious issues. Police failure to declare a major incident quickly, failure to close the tunnel leading to those pens, and concerted efforts to shift blame onto fans, including changing police statements.
Awful. A total system failure with terrible consequences.
It fundamentally redefined accountability and led to massive reforms in stadium safety globally, shifting the focus from control to care. The Love Parade in Duisburg, Germany, in 2010, serves as another grim reminder of organizer reliability when crowd management fails spectacularly. This incident, with 21 fatalities, highlighted a fundamental miscalculation of venue capacity and a severe lack of alternative routes. The entire event relied on a single, narrow tunnel as both ingress and egress for hundreds of thousands.
One way in, one way out for that many people.
Unbelievably, yes. It turned into an inescapable crush zone when panic set in. This disaster served as a stark warning that poor planning, particularly in managing flow and redundant pathways, can have devastating impacts. Simply having a plan isn't enough. It must be sound.
Understanding the actual physics of crowds.
And planning accordingly. Finally, a Mecca Hajj pilgrimage incidents, particularly in 1990 and 2015, saw exceptionally high death tolls due to crushes and trampling. These mega events involving millions highlighted critical density issues exacerbated by pushing and panic in extreme choke points like tunnels or where arterial routes converged without adequate control.
The scale is just immense.
Immense. The 1990 incident involved egress through a tunnel, over 1,400 deaths. The 2015 incident saw two key routes converging without proper segregation, over 2,200 fatalities. They demonstrated a severe lack of real-time situational awareness regarding bottlenecks and the sheer force crowds generate. The lessons focus on micromanagement of flow, redundant pathways, and continuous spatial analysis for events of truly unprecedented scale.
What an incredibly detailed and frankly sobering deep dive into how critical and how complex effective crowd management truly is. It's clear that it's a multi-layered undertaking, relying on so much more than just barriers and gates. It's a whole science, constantly evolving.
Absolutely. I think the main takeaways are that proactive crowd management is fundamentally distinct from reactive crowd control. It really starts with that deep, nuanced understanding of crowd dynamics, recognizing crowds are complex entities influenced by density, environment, psychology, even substance use. Comprehensive pre-event planning, meticulous risk assessment, strategic site design with clear pathways, robust emergency protocols, that forms the bedrock of safety.
Building safety in from the start.
Exactly. And we've also seen how modern technology, from CCTV and predictive analytics to integrated communication systems, is crucial for real-time monitoring and rapid response. These tools significantly enhance the safety landscape, making operations more efficient and proactive. And, maybe most importantly, continuously learning from past incidents, both successes, like the planning for the London Olympics, and especially failures, is absolutely essential for improvement and ensuring accountability. It's an ongoing process.
And it's not just about the organizers, is it? As attendees, surely we also have a role to play in contributing to overall safety.
That's a really important point. It raises the question, if organizers are constantly striving for safety from the ground up, what does that mean for you, the individual attending these events? How can your own situational awareness and behavior contribute to a safer experience for yourself and for everyone around you? Your role isn't passive. It's an active part of the solution.
So, as you head to your next big event, perhaps a concert or a sporting match, maybe take a moment to consider how these unseen layers of planning, the subtle guidance of design, and the silent hum of technology are working in concert to create the incredible experience you enjoy. How might your own situational awareness change based on what you've learned today, making you a more informed and perhaps even a more proactive participant in your own safety?
Yeah, the next time you're immersed in a large crowd, rather than feeling overwhelmed or anonymous, perhaps you'll observe the flow of people. Notice the clear signage guiding you, see the reassuring presence of staff, and truly appreciate the intricate dance of safety happening all around you, all designed to ensure everyone can enjoy the moment safely and return home soundly.